Things that you can stop doing today. I want to go ahead and start jumping in and sharing this information with you. The first thing that you can stop doing today is pleasing others before you take care of yourself. My name is Catherine Canty. I am an executive coach and a podcast host of Business Vitality. And we have so many things that we have to do. I thought we should take a few minutes to talk about three things that we don't need to do or that we can stop doing immediately. I work with teams and individuals to create a measurable leadership change within organizations. We're doing that using practical applications. And because we're using practical applications, we're able to accelerate the growth and the results for them and their teams. So, the first thing that I want to share today, the very first thing that we can do that we can totally stop doing is stop worrying about pleasing everybody else before you figure out what it is that you want to do. And so I've had some time to think about this. And so often we're worried about making sure that everybody else has what it is that they need, that we truly forget what it is that we want. And when we can take a minute and pause and be able to reflect upon what is it that we want and what is the path that we need to take to get there, there we begin to shift from responding to really living with intention. And what we need to do is not just say that we want that next promotion. We really need to understand what is at that root cause. Why do we think we need that promotion? Do we want that promotion because we need a bump in the salary? Do we want that promotion for our ego? Do we want that promotion for control? Do we want that promotion because we want to do something bigger with ourselves and we can do that through teams? So we've got to figure out, first we've got to stop just pleasing everybody all the time and really stop and pause and reflect on ourselves and figure out what it is that we want as ourselves as we look in the mirror. As we look in the mirror, let's just figure it out. What is it that we really want to do? Do we want to manage teams? Do we want to take a step to the side and be able to be an independent contributor for a little while other things are going on in life? All of this is all acceptable and it's your choice. And when we stop worrying about the rest of the world and we start worrying about ourselves, we're going to show up to being even better leaders and better team members within the organization. But you can't just say that you want the next promotion. You have to really understand what is that going to give you? And if you think about it, what we wanted 10 years ago is probably not what we want right now. Even a few years ago, this may not be what we want, and that's okay. So we've got to pause, we've got to reflect, we've got to build this time in there so we can figure out where we're going to go forward. And know that whatever information we have today is the amount of information that we need to go forward. And we're going to do the best that we can going forward, but we've got to figure out what's important to us. And does everything align with what our goals are and how we can best show up as ourselves? We really have to dig into the why. Sometimes we just feel like we need a promotion because we're just climbing the ladder and climbing the ladder and climbing the ladder. But that's not going to create fulfillment at the end of the day. I have climbed the ladder before many, many times, and I had to stop and realize, why am I trying to climb the ladder? What is the end goal? What am I trying to accomplish? And not until we actually sit down and reflect on this do we begin to figure out what is the true goal? How do we live within intention and be able to contribute as an even more effective team member? A lot of times we want to talk about the past, and we've got to stop talking about the past and we've got to begin to look at the future. What do we want to do going forward? The future is beautiful. So, stakeholder center coaching, the process that I'm a master coach in, it is extremely effective because we focus on the future. We got to let go of the past. I cannot undo conferences that I attended. I cannot undo meetings that I held. I cannot undo how I worked on one team. But what I can do is I can control the future. I can look future focused and begin to realize what it is that I want to do differently going forward. We can get stuck in analysis paralysis talking about the past, but we can live with intention and with a plan when we start talking about the future. People are more likely to give us good feedback if we're talking about the future. People are going to be real apprehensive about sharing information with you if it's always about the past because it just makes everybody uncomfortable, especially if we bombed a presentation. Nobody wants to talk about that. But what they do want to do, and what is easier for them and easier for us to receive, is talk about the future. What will we do differently going forward? So, the first thing that I'm suggesting of three things that you can stop doing today, the first one is stop pleasing others first. We've got to figure out what it is that we want before we can help other people. Much like the oxygen mask comes down in the airplane, we've got to take care of ourselves before we can truly show up and take care of others. My name is Catherine Canty. I am an executive coach and a podcast host of Business Vitality. I love to be able to share business ideas, best practices, what is working out there, timeless, over and over and over again. The Business Vitality podcast actually shares best practice stories, and I love to be able just to keep paying it forward. You know, the reason I'm doing all of this is because I have had countless people pour into me over my career, and I want to be able to pay it forward. But all these great people that poured into me are in retirement and they're living their own life, doing their own thing. So I can't continue to pay it forward to them. But what I can do, just as they poured into me, I want to pour into other people. I want to take these lessons that I've learned and continue to pay it forward. So when I'm doing these posts, being able to just kind of pour it forward, the work that I'm doing, the speaking events, the executive coaching, everything that I'm doing is just a way to continue to pay it forward as a way to give back for those that gave to me. So, my name is Catherine Canty. I'm an executive coach and a podcast host. The second thing of three things to stop doing today. The second thing is stop waiting to be told what to do. You know, so often, and I feel like it starts in childhood, we're just told that we have to keep doing certain things. Okay, when you graduate fifth grade, you're going to middle school, and we're going to tell you to do this, and we're going to tell you to go when you get into high school, you're going to get your driver's license and you're going to get a job, and we're being told what to do. And when we get out, it's almost like this being told what to do ingrained mentality is out there. And we really have to stop waiting on being told what to do. At some point, you're going to have to become an independent thinker, and people pay really good money for independent thinking. They can pay people all day long to fill out a checklist. And if you're growing in your career, you've got a team that's working for you, and you're just trying to take them to the next level, you're looking for independent thinking people who can deliver results, who can think outside the box. And to do that, these are people that are not sitting around waiting to be told what to do. A lot of times folks reach out to me and they're curious, I'm not real sure if you can help me, Catherine, but let me tell you what's going on. And so I listen to what they have going on, and we create solutions that are enabling them to get the results. They know what they want. They just don't know how to get there. And sometimes I'm working with teams or I'm working with individuals, and I have to explain to them, sometimes in a uber direct manner, you have got to stop getting around conversations where you're just waiting to be told what to do. Stop acting like this. We need you to be an independent, thinking, problem solving person. People hire me to have difficult conversations with their leaders. You cannot do this anymore. If you want to grow, if the pain of same hurts enough, you're ready to grow. If you're ready to grow, then you've got to stop waiting around for me to tell you what to do. So often when we begin some of these coaching engagements, folks, they just want this checklist. And for those of us who've been around long enough, we all realize there is no checklist to life. There's no checklist to a career. So we have to figure out, what are we going to do to navigate? What are we going to do to create these solutions? What are we going to do to continue to drive forward the change? There is no checklist to doing that, but we've got to take chances, and we've got to be able to put our neck out there and be able to try new things and know that the information that we have is enough for us to continue to go forward. So something else that kind of pops up is, folks, when I'm coaching with them, I'm working with individuals, I'm working with teams, I'll have recommendations or I'll have observations, and I ask first, hey, can I make a recommendation? Can I make an observation of what it is that I'm seeing? And very often they're like, yeah, that's awesome. Let me do that. Let me listen. And so I share. And then I'm like, wait a minute, you cannot do exactly what I just told you to do. You need to take it and make it your own. You can't do what I did, because in my scenario, that worked for me. But I have a similar scenario and I can share that with you, but you've got to be able to take it and make it your own. Just because it worked for me doesn't mean it's going to work for you. And so it's kind of that checklist. Oh, but Catherine said I should do this. I mean, that's what I did in a similar scenario. But that was 5 or 10 years ago. That may not work for today. I'm just brainstorming with you to give you ideas so you can try something new. Make it your own. What works for me is not going to work for you. What works for you is not going to work for me. But what we can do is we can collaborate and we can brainstorm and we can work through things together and come up with multiple scenarios and begin to map this stuff out. And that's what some of these conversations look like when I'm working with individuals and teams to create this measurable leadership change. We brainstorm together. And when they bring ideas to the table, I can tell you, oh, I had something similar and I messed that up. Let me tell you what I did. Let me tell you what I would do differently. So a lot of times, people want to do exactly what it is that we're being told to do. And we don't need to do that. We need to stop thinking there's a checklist, stop thinking that we need to do exactly what we're being told. Now, there are times when we need to do exactly what's being told. In my early days of sales and business development, I worked for an insurance company and I had a very detailed script of exactly how to close a deal. I followed that script to a T. I closed every deal that went out there. If I ventured off the script, it got a little hairy and it didn't close. There's a method to that madness. What worked then isn't going to work now. If I have a language that I'm trying to follow and to follow a conversation, we've been in real conversations, much like this right here, and we realize that that script isn't going to work. But as we grow and we gain experience, we begin to realize that we need to twist things just a little bit. We need to make it work into the conversation that we're in right now. So, knowing the environment that we're in, knowing what the result is that we're trying to accomplish, we know that we probably just need to make it a little bit our own. Now, that early day sales example is not like today. And if you're watching this, you're not in an entry level sales position. You're managing teams, you're managing departments, you're managing a business. And if that's what you're managing, then we know that we need to read books, listen to podcasts, watch these streams, and figure out what one or two things can we take from all of these and make it our own. Also, I want to be able to share with you, if you're going to stop being told what to do, what I have found, what worked for me is I made a decision of whichever position I was going to lean into, whichever position I was exploring within the business that I was working when I was in corporate for 20 plus years. I knew that I had to make the best decision I could for that role. And as I made that decision for the role, I didn't know where it was going to take me. It didn't always take me to the next ring on the ladder. It could, but what I found to be a lot more fun, a lot more beneficial, a lot more just fun and creative for me was to lean into the role and find other opportunities because this position and this role would open up doors for me. And I would then find opportunities or gaps to be able to close within the organization. Most of the positions that I took on were not predefined roles. It was an opportunity to be able to close a gap. And so they promoted me. Maybe I took a left and I worked on this project for a little while. Instead of going up, I just took a left or I took a right. It wasn't always a clear climb the ladder scenario. I never really did the checklist thing. I always just tried to listen to what the customer had to say. I listened to what was going on in the boardroom and I understood what the operations center was capable of delivering. And so when I combine this information together, I'm really able to have a much more holistic vision of the company. I provide more value to the company because I knew what the opportunities were. I knew what the clients were willing to pay for. I knew what the operations centers was capable of delivering. And so when we did that, it didn't always look like just a clear step one, step two, step three. We sometimes took a step to the left and we worked on projects for 18 to 24 months. And it was fun. And I learned a whole new dimension about work, about that department, about the team that I would have totally missed out if I just wanted to continue to say I need the next promotion, the next promotion, the next promotion that everybody else was doing. Because I took a different path, I got exposures to so many other avenues of business that I know other people did not have access to at an early age that I did. The reason that happened was because I wasn't sitting around being told what to do. I heard what the opportunities were. I tested things small. I came back with some success. And then we were able to figure out, where do we want to go from here? My name is Catherine Canty. I'm an executive coach and a podcast host of Business Vitality. Today, I am sharing 3 things that you can stop doing today. We have so many things that we have to do. 3 things that we can stop doing. The first one is stop pleasing others first. Know what it is that you want. The second thing is stop waiting to be told what to do. And the third thing is stop living in fear. It's super easy just to just continue to respond and react and not be so proactive. And we know that there's certain things that are just a little bit scarier than others. And we all have them. And whatever it is that we think is holding us back, whatever that fear is, I remember this great quote of, this fear of, and I can't remember the quote exactly, but there's this quote of this cave, and there's just darkness in the cave. But the time that we can take that first step to go into that cave, we begin to approach that fear, and our eyes adjust to the light or the lack of light. And we begin to see things that we didn't see before because we never took that first step into the cave. So if we can take that first step into the cave, into the darkness, into the fear, our eyes will adjust. We'll have new elements to take in. We'll have new opportunities that come to us. And there may be a whole new opportunity out there that we never knew because of that fear. This weekend, I have a fear of heights. So this weekend, we were hiking in the mountains, and it got me rattled that we were going over this bridge over a ravine that was 1 mile above ground. And I don't do real well with fears, but I knew, first of all, I wasn't going to tell the world that, I don't want to cross this bridge. I'll just sit here and wait. I thought, there's plenty of other people that are trying this, and nobody has died yet that I've seen today that have gone over this bridge that's 1 mile above the ground. And I thought, oh, this doesn't really make me feel really good. My hands are sweating just thinking about walking across a bridge that is 1 mile above the ground. And it is a narrow bridge. I mean, you can pass somebody on this bridge, but you're not walking 3 people across. You're just kind of, adjusting as you walk past them on this bridge. And, it says how many people are supposed to be on the bridge. So I'm over there and I'm looking at this bridge going, I don't know, that looks like 42. And they said the max is 50. So maybe I wait for a minute. But, as we get into this, and as I began to take one step in front of another step in front of another step going across this bridge, I began to realize that I'm not going to die. I began to realize that I got to the other side and I got to see this view that I would never have gotten to see otherwise. It was amazing. And then there's the fear of having to go back through it again. So then once again, I'm counting how many people are on the bridge. And I'm like, I don't know, that looks like 35. Maybe I should just wait until there's only 10 on the bridge. But I go back over the bridge and it was less fearful going back over the bridge because I've already done it once. And it was just an experience of fear that I wanted to be able to share with you. But everybody has their own fear. It could be making presentations, it could be making these videos, talking to yourself in a room, just teaching other people what you've learned along the way. There's a lot of fear putting yourself out there. There's a lot of fear crossing a bridge that's 1 mile above the ground. There's a lot of fear taking a new position. There's a lot of fear to stop pleasing other people because we have to look inward and we have to decide what's important to us. What is important to us for this one life that we get to live? So when I was in the car, I was driving back from the mountains. I was listening to this book, and it talked about flow, and I thought this was interesting. It talked about flow. What if we get into this flow, and we've all done this before, where maybe you're doing something that you just love and you lose track of time. You just lose track of time because you're in flow with whatever activity is that you're doing. And so as you're in this flow, this book writes about what if you stopped mid flow. Maybe there's a project at work that you're really excited about. What if you're in flow and you stop while it's still flowing? And I thought, oh, I don't know about this. You could be really losing some good information if you stop mid flow. But it turns out if you stop mid flow and you come back, you're going to be excited because you were in that mid flow moment. So, what if we stopped mid flow, experiment one time? If we stop mid flow, we come back in an hour, we come back in a day, whatever it may be, to pick that project back up. What if that actually allows us to continue with that excitement and that flow just a little bit longer? So that was another kind of idea as I was driving back from this bridge crossing that, if we're in flow, what harm does it do if we stop and then come back to being back in that mid flow? Does it give us that excitement while we step away from that activity that we're really enjoying? So, my name is Catherine Canty. I'm an executive coach and a podcast host of Business Vitality. A lot of folks will reach out to me and they're like, I don't know if you can help me, but can you listen? A lot of times people know what they want, they just don't know how to get it done. Often we jump on a call, 45 minutes, 30 minutes. I just listen to what they have to say. I was on a call earlier this morning with a gentleman who's worked with me for a number of years, and he said, Catherine, you just listen. You got a lot of wisdom for a person that is of your age. You have more wisdom than most people at your age. And I attribute that to all the people that have poured into me, and I want to continue to pay it forward. If you're curious, if you're like, I know what it is, I need this talented individual to be able to do. I know what this team of individuals needs to be able to do, but I'm just not sure how to get there. Give me a call, book a call. You can go to my website, catherinecanty.com. I would love to hear from you. I'm very creative. For those of you that know me, they know that I am a problem solver and I have a lot of creativity along the way. So don't worry about what might be holding you back. Let's talk. Let's see what we can do. And maybe we can co create a solution. Or maybe I just tell you, no, I can't help you, but here are a couple other ideas that you might want to check out. My name is Catherine Canty. I am an executive coach and a podcast host of Business Vitality. And I would like to ask for you to think about one small thing that you can do going forward that could begin to create a little bit of momentum for you. So, what is one small thing that you can test right now? Today, we shared 3 things that you can stop doing today. The first one is stop pleasing others, figure out what it is that you want and why. The second thing is stop waiting to be told what to do. Stop waiting on being told what to do. There is no checklist to life, there is no checklist to a career. You got to figure out what you want and you got to figure out how to make it your own and step into it. The third thing was stop living in fear. What is it that's holding you back right now? And what is that first step that you can take to step into that cave, to step into that bridge, over the bridge, to see if you really are going to, fail if you take a chance? Very often, we're not taking enough chances. We're not failing enough, so we're not growing enough. So, what is one small thing that you can do to take a step towards that little bit of momentum? Because we all know that once that momentum starts, it's hard to stop. My name is Catherine Canty. I am an executive coach and a podcast host of Business Vitality. I would love to hear from you. What is one small thing that you can do to create the momentum that you're going for? Have a fantastic week.